Okay, so the story that we're going to be going today is the Port Authority fire that's happening at the Jersey port. That's taking place. So far, two firemen have died, as well as five are injured, and it's still just burning. So what's so interesting about this fire is the who called the firemen in, and how are we here now that two firemen are dead and five are injured. So first, let's take this back a little bit to who is the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. So the Port Authority, and if you're from New York or Jersey, you know who the Port Authority is. So the Port Authority is the JFK, LaGuardia, Newark airports. It's the tunnels and bridges. It's the path trains that go under the now Freedom Tower that used to be the five buildings of the World Trade Center. It's, again, the bridges and the tolls. And so all of these generate revenue, right? So like from all of the airlines that pay to have a terminal at the airports, to the bridges and tolls. God knows what that, they were just talking about the new toll for New Jersey. I mean, for Staten Island going up. It's the path trains that take people to and from New York through to New Jersey. I mean, it's money. It's money, 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 money. But the thing is about the Port Authority, it's neither it's a government entity, but it's a quasi-government entity that literally balances between New York and New Jersey, right? By its real estate and the properties that it manages. It also is quasi of how it gets to control its money, because it is a cash cow, so to say, that it does generate money, that it also does not, it's not able to control its money. So there's always a big, those that know in New York, there's a big war between the governor of New York and the Port Authority, because he just keeps taking the money. Similar to the federal government taking Social Security, that they're not taking it to run the facilities, to upkeep the training of, say, these firemen that would be going in, or upkeeping the roads and the bridges, and even the airport terminals and all that good stuff that's going on. Instead, it gets taken for other projects because it's a steady stream of revenue. And this is a big, also the pensions of the Port Authority, and we keep reducing them down because they have great benefits, where they did it one time. And so this is all going on in New York. So if you're from New York, you know this. It's a heated, contested standoff between the governor of New York and the Port Authority. Now, at the same time, the Port Authority is your engineers. It's the people keep this stuff running, right? So like they're doing their jobs. They're in there constantly making sure that our flights are safe, that you can come and go, your bridges are safe, that your trains are safe. These are great, hardworking engineers and people that work for the Port Authority. And my opinion, they also don't get the credit that they deserve. And their content, the budget that they generate, that those properties generate, are constantly scooped up and undermining them. So that's my take on the Port Authority. So now here today, you have this fire that's going on in New Jersey, right? And what happened was, and this is another whole thing. So from what that I'm understanding, that firemen went in to this burning tank, big tanker filled with cars, right? Cars. So it's a big tanker. Now, a tanker is nothing more than a building on the water, right? So it has its floor plan, right? So it has stories similar to a building. Plus, it also has these compartments, right? And it's all steel. Let's be real, it's steel. These compartments within it that are divided. So you need a map to know where to go, and there, it's also meant to be sink proof. So these compartments are cut off, and they're also, the tanker is a boat that's really a building on the water, and it has this complex map of infrastructure. It's not simply straight floors that go back and forth to the ends of the boat from one end to the other. It's this complicated tunnels basically in there, made of steel, that these firemen that went in from what I'm seeing, would not have access at such a short notice to the plans of this boat. So they went in blind. And now the third piece is that what kind of a fire is this, right? So your firemen that come in and traditionally do a combustible fire, meaning that it's basically things that water can be taken out, right? You have the triangle of fire, that there's three elements. It's what's burning, it's oxygen, and what is able to put it out. Here, water would be able to suffocate it here. So you're always trying to take the oxygen from the fire. That is not the case if you're having an electrical fire, if you're having a gas fire, right? Because you would smother a gas fire, electrical fire, you would also smother it totally different. Matter of fact, if you use water on an electrical fire, which is very potentially that this happened once it went on fire in the boat, that the electric might have caught fire, that you're actually creating a current for the electricity through the water to actually, it would create a current to the firemen. So in other words, the electricity would be able to flow through the water. So that wouldn't work. So I don't think they even knew what kind of fire it was. So I don't see how they had privy to information like that. The other is that if it was a gasoline fire, right? Because it was cars in there that went up, that the water would actually spread the gas and make it far worse. Plus, you're not talking about the smoke and where the smoke is going, where you're spreading that. So this is someone really, really, really messed up by sending these guys in, whether it was on their own initiative, whether it was, like saying, I'm going to save lives, which, brave firemen are always there to naturally do that. And we love our firemen, or someone sent them in. And then if someone sent them in, this that's a problem for them. So the third thing we're talking about is that even if they got in, this is steel. Someone gets into a compartment because they don't know where they're going, and it's not this just straight floor going across one of these stories of the boat. It could be cut-offs and whatnot, so this way the boat is airtight. Similar to the Titanic, where you saw that there was different compartments to keep the water from spreading out, and later on, that's the design we use. These are the same thing. It's a boat. So, oh my goodness, this is a mess. At the end of the day, this is a real tragedy, because as much as our Navy, right? The Navy, when our Navy goes out and what's going out on a boat, they're trained. They go to fireman school. They go to, they have their own naval school, fireman fighting school, to deal with just this, to deal with the three types of fires that there are, whether it be combustible, whether it be electric, whether it be some kind of gasoline or that type. There's three different types of fires. They go into that in depth. They go into the piece of how to put them out for that. They go into the deep schematics of the ship and where they're going. And oh my goodness, that takes a lot of training. And these guys, they didn't have the training. I can't see them having much of that training. Maybe they did have a Navy guy. They still would not have the layout of the boat. And this is just another really, really bad tragedy. And it's still burning. So let's take a look at, this is the live shot of it currently still burning, which makes you wonder what caused the fire? What is on fire? Was there gasoline left on one of the, in the tanks of one of the cars that were on here? Could that have gone up? Was it because I would assume that most of the ship was empty, and we went on shore. They said, great, we're in New York, we're in Jersey, we're going to go to New York. Let's get off the boat. Hooray, right? That's what they look forward to. And in that case, the ones that would know and how to fight this fire, and also be able to navigate the whole map of the boat, they're not involved. They were loading. So it's the 10th floor. I don't know how many stories there are, but I would assume that that's definitely one of the top decks. And they were loading vans and trucks, and vans and cars. This doesn't look good. This does not look, okay, what else they say? So it looks like, if we're looking at that, it looks like there was cars on fire. So we're seeing that. So what we're seeing here is that's a car on fire. Cars just don't go on fire. So these look like they don't look like brand new pristine cars that are coming out. They look like they're used cars, or not brand new cars. So could there have been gas left in the tank, and under the heat and everything else, that that it got bumped and that the car exploded? That's another level there. But it's looking, right, from what we're seeing here, the car is on fire and it's on the 10th deck. And then that heat and being trapped within that would be a disaster for more combustion to happen. But we're talking a gas fire. We're talking explosion and gas fire. No, and this is, and the heat, and then it's in a trapped deck of a steel ship. Bad, really bad. I don't know why anyone sent these guys in. That my would have been, we're not going. We're not going. Bring back the crew, bring back those that know where the layout of this boat is. Let's see what we're dealing with. At the end of the day, it's a bunch of cars that can burn. Let them burn and let lives stay safe. Unless someone called and said, my tanker's on fire, get someone down there. That's scenario one. Scenario two is that these guys valiantly went in and now two are dead and five are injured. See what else they're saying. Okay, so this was doing several levels of the cargo ship. This thing is made of steel. And if we want to reflect back to 9/11, made of steel, and then as you get such heat, right? And it's trapped heat too, because you're inside a tanker that several levels were burned. When these guys are walking around, not only do they not know where they're going and potentially trapped with smoke or just a dead end, the steel will melt and collapse, and they can get collapsed in, this is just really, really dangerous. And really tragic for the two families that are suffering, and the five that they're still injured. This is just them going in. Who called them to go in? Because this was not safe against the risk. This was too risky for them to go in. That's my opinion. So that's really interesting too. So it was Italian tanker. So is it Italian cars that they were bringing in? Were there some Maseratis? Well, Maseratis I think are made here by Ford from now on, but were there like some Ferraris in there? It's not looking like it. Why call these guys in? Who called to get these guys in? And why? It would have been an isolated tanker, unless they would the fear that it was going to blow up more, which it's possible with the heat. But and why did one of these cars, did one of them have gasoline in them? And wouldn't that be a precondition to get them traveling on a boat? I don't know, but I would say no gas in my boat.
Newark firefighters with 2 vessels at the port, the first on the scene.
We found a firefighter. We need help.
2 Newark firefighters, 45-year-old Augusta Akabu and 49-year-old Wayne Brooks Jr., losing their lives.
They were 45 and 49. These guys were about to be done. They were like ready to retire. I started maybe 21. I've been in here all these years. I'm good. I'm ready to go. Either that, they're going up the ladder. Oh, my heart goes out to their families. It's tragic. Okay, they got trapped in. So potentially what happened is that they even went down a corridor and got trapped in, or they got trapped in by the smoke and couldn't get back out, or else it collapsed because it's saying it was on fire on several levels, that it started on one and then maybe collapsed and then the fire spread. Either way, these guys were doomed. And it's so tragic. These guys are almost retired. Boy, this is not going to be good for the Port Authority. That's what's going to come next, is heads are going to roll, and it's going to be someone at the Port Authority. Even though this may not have had really anything to do with the Port Authority. Get that? They take all the money and they keep leaving all the blame, because they never would have been trained for these firefighters. But this was interesting. This was Newark firemen. So it's there, but why was this tanker on fire? Why didn't they just let it burn? Because it's burning anyway. Why did they, who sent these guys in? Why did these guys go in?
This is like an ultimate sacrifice of the fire service.
Okay, oh, this is the Newark Fire Chief. It's
was
some of his
assisted
guys. This is, oh,
Other firefighters,
Rufus Jackson.
including the
What a great name.
FDNY, going inside,
Yeah,
sending
so it's his
out
guys, two of his
mayday
guys went down.
signals.
They need help. They located a firefighter.
3 other Newark and 2 Elizabeth firefighters also injured and rushed to the hospital.
Somewhere around the 10th and 11th floor, they began to extinguish this fire.
The nature of the fire on a ship made fighting the blaze difficult on Port Authority property.
Okay, so two additional Newark houses, firehouses went in. Elizabeth went in. New York City's were in there as well. So they were all going in. I think they were going in when they found out that these two were trapped. And of course, then you go in. But why they went in the first place, I don't know. My call would have been like, we're standing down, let the cars burn. Let the cars burn. Not worth it. It's not worth human life. Cars can be replaced. Okay, so they're saying they started the 10th, 11th floor. They started to extinguish this. 2 Elizabeth firefighters also injured and rushed. So they're saying that the Port Authority has their own little set of fire department on there. Even then, and there's structural, that could be the airport, that could be as far as buildings. I don't think any of them were trained to put out fires on a tanker, on a boat, on a steel vessel like this. That's mine, especially if it's small, because again, we're going back to the resources of the Port Authority, and that state of New York already scooped up all the money. So whatever they have an expanding campus of all these jewels of real estate they have out inside of New York. But their money is taken from them. So anything that the training would be, when people are about to say, well, why weren't they trained better? Where is all the money going? It's going to New York State. And let's be real on that. The money is going to New York State. So even the resources that it would have been to train these guys is now, it's been misallocated, really. It's been reallocated to something else. And again, another tragedy of what, the whole dynamic of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, the state of New York, and these ever, expanding properties that are basically the arteries going in and out of New York, and also the airports, Newark, New Jersey, Newark, LaGuardia, and JFK. It's a big deal, right? They're saying, but Port Authority doesn't have the supposed to do. And why would they? Why would they? If anything, they may have had some more experience to put on like a plane fire than this. Because anyone that authority should have said, stand down, let it burn. This was there, unless they thought it was going to explode onto other tankers. But it's burning. It's in. I would have let it burn. You can do whatever you need to do outside. Let it burn. I would not have risked my people to go in there.
The Port Authority has a small crew that fight smaller fires. When they have structural fires or big fires of this sort, they always call Newark. There's no specialized unit that Port Authority has, no.
Newark says their firefighters trained for something like this. My question is how much? And is that a chapter in a book? I would not have endangered these guys. And yet at the same time, I'm giving them all of the heroism and who and what they are. I would not have put them in, because you get to protect your people.
Newark officials say their firefighters trained for something like this, but can't remember the last training.
Oh, well, there goes another thing. So Newark's just said, oh, yeah, we have training for that, but I don't remember the last time we had that training. Bingo. Is this the mayor? This is the mayor of Newark. Buddy, you're going to have a problem. Bing, 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 because New York's going to be pointing at you. Why did you send your guys in? And where I could see this really rolling downhill is poor Rufus, because that's how that works. This is where I see this is where bing, bing, bing. You guys don't remember the last time you trained your people. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for that. Okay, let's see what else is going on.
That's a long conversation that we're going to have from now until we get some real resolution to what needs to be done as we move forward.
What resolution needs to be done as we move forward? I said resolution is canning your ass, buddy. Okay. Wow. That's what he said. Resolution. You're already talking resolution, and these guys are wow. Interesting enough. Where that's going to go there. I think the mayor of Newark, if that's who that is, I believe he's got a problem.
The company that operates the ship, the Grimaldi Group, says
Yeah,
there are
okay.
no
Well,
electric
what about
cars
the
or
ship?
any
And
hazardous
is there
material
foul play
on
in this?
board.
Did someone set this fire? Cars just don't combust. What do they say? The Grimaldi lines. It's an Italian shipping line because it had an Italian flag. Okay. There was no electric cars. Really? Well, I would think a tank full of gas would be even more combustible than an electric battery. But okay, interesting. That's the first place that they go. Although I don't know, maybe that is a more common occurrence and the battery needs to be detached or, disconnected. I don't know. But this looks like a heat fire. Heat fire, yes, of course. But I'm saying like a combustible fire.
Governor Phil Murphy says the state is mourning.
We are all deeply grateful to our firefighters for their unwavering dedication to keeping our community safe, and our hearts are with the Newark Fire Department and their families.
And the mayor of Newark should have led with this, with the Governor Murphy saying that at the end of the day, this is tragic. This is really, really, really tragic. And that's where you go. That's where you go right now. Not that we're going to look to see where our training is. And we will reconcile that at a later date. Ooh.
Multiple agencies are investigating the fire, including the ATF, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, and the Coast Guard. Now,
yeah, this is vague. So they're bringing ATF in because they're going to put this a potential terrorist thing. Oh, geez. I mean, could that be it as well? That I don't. Wow. Could that have been it as well? Okay, let me change this a little bit here as well. You're right. After 9/11, there's still it's still New York, who again, so many families lost their family members, and the firemen and police that went in addition to contracting cancer later on and still losing them. That is this a reaction to a after how we do things after 9/11? That's really true. It's in the port, it's in Newark. I mean, Newark is not so near New York City, but interesting. It's just a reaction to 9/11, and this is the heightened protocol for anything that has a potential to blow up and create havoc and destroy property and lives. That's interesting. And also, when they did have that ship training fire, was that way back in 9/11 and a result of that, and they just have not kept up with it. It's two more really good questions there. It's fascinating. But again, it's tragic. Those firemen and the families my heart goes out to them. And they shouldn't have went in. These guys should have been kept safe. Okay, so the update is that ATF is investigating, Coast Guard's investigating. I'm not surprised Coast Guard wasn't in any way, because they do have. Now that's interesting too, and the Coast Guard was not called in. That's fascinating because they would have more nautical fire experience. That's a potential that they weren't called in first and stand down until they get there. ATF is coming in as well. This is now a big government thing, which is interesting. ATF being called in, does that indicate something else? Does it indicate that there is more national or international, and that's beyond New York and New Jersey and the tri-state? I would say yes. It indicates this is a lot bigger than they're saying.
I'm being told it's going to take several days to determine a cause because they still have to get on that ship. And as you can see, that does not seem possible right now.
And so now what's happening, it's going to be days before they're getting in. and to investigate. So by the time they get in, all the evidence is gone anyway. This is a fascinating story. It's going to be also, it's going to continue to unfoil as people find out what caused the fire, or else do we ever find out what causes the fire or who caused the fire. I will keep you guys posted of this fire and what's going on. Again, my heart goes out to the families that the 2 firemen that died, as well as all of the Newark firefighters, and also I believe there was 2 Elizabeth firefighters that were injured as well, and the families that are injured. And again, keep safe. Okay, I'll see you guys soon.